Hi everyone, it's Susan from Social Services. I'm so glad to be back this week. I hope you're all doing really well. I had to take last week off from filming a video just because I had to take a little piece of my own advice and take a little bit of a break from it. For some reason last week, it was just kind of a difficult week emotionally and mentally, and I just didn't feel like I had it in me to be inspirational. So I took the week off from doing the video last week. But here I am, I'm back today and I'm back to feeling like myself. So let's get started. So as I was thinking about the things that I wanted to talk about in this video, and this will probably be a shorter one than the one I did a couple weeks ago, things kept coming to me during the week. And those four things that I kept thinking about were, first of all, sacrifices that we're all making during this time. Another thing is we seem to be seeing kind of increasing anxiety as the COVID situation continues. So I think we'll talk about anxiety again. Continuing to practice gratitude is something that kept coming to me too, because of course I do that every day. And finally, giving others and yourself a break. And we're going to talk about that at the very end. So first of all, one of the reasons I've been thinking about sacrifices is I think that all of us are making so many sacrifices right now. And there are a couple situations that really stand out to me of people that I know that are making incredible sacrifices during this pandemic. One person that I'm thinking of is she is on the front lines and she is actually living in a separate part of her house from her family because she wants to keep her husband and her kids safe. That is a big sacrifice. Another person that I'm thinking about is someone who has been planning for over a year a big, lovely outdoor wedding that she was going to have this summer. Well, unfortunately, COVID had to change plans for her, and she actually ended up getting married recently in a very small, COVID-appropriate wedding with appropriate physical distancing. That is a huge sacrifice. Another sacrifice that really comes to mind too, and I see this every day at work, is the couples that are sacrificing not being able to see each other at this time. I can't imagine being married 50, 60, 70 years with your spouse nearly every single one of those days and suddenly not being able to see them. Yes, we can still talk on the phone, do FaceTime, but that's not quite the same, especially when you know they're just right down the hall and just a different part of the facility. So that is a huge sacrifice that some of our folks are doing at this time. I know there are many more examples of sacrifices that we're all doing. By avoiding getting together in person with our loved ones is a huge sacrifice for all of us. But I think we should feel proud that we are doing that. We're protecting our loved ones as well as ourselves. In the end, love prevails. With businesses reopening in our community, there's a desire to get out and be social again, be social with our friends. However, I think we need to use our heads when making decisions of whether or not we should be going out and doing those kinds of things out in the community. Someone recently said that we need to use our moral compass at this time when we are trying to decide whether or not to get together with friends or go do something that normally we would have done pre-COVID. I love that term. I think of it often as I struggle myself with physical distancing and not being able to see my loved ones. I do know, though, that I'm doing the right thing for my family, for my community, for my residents, for my coworkers. I'm doing right, and I'm following my moral compass if I choose to stay home and not go out and socialize. I am practicing safe distancing from others. I've heard from other folks too in our community that there's an increased anxiety right now about what's going to happen next with COVID. I think there's this notion out there that, well, places are opening up, so everything's okay. Well, it really isn't. COVID is still out there and we still need to be very careful. And unfortunately, none of us know the answer to what's going to happen next. I've mentioned in other videos that I've done that anxiety that we're feeling right now is kind of a special kind of anxiety because it's a very special situation that we're in, but it's still anxiety. And that it's very normal to feel anxiety in this type of a situation. There's some things that maybe you can ask yourself if you're feeling anxious. And just think about other situations, not COVID related, where you have maybe experienced anxiety. And you can ask yourself, first of all, what usually happens to my body when I become anxious or I worry? Do you feel it in your gut? Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it in your head? Do you not sleep well? Do you not eat well? That's a good question to ask yourself. What happens to your body when you get anxiety? How worried are you? That's something else to think about during COVID is how worried are you? And what do you fear the most with this situation? Do you fear that you'll get COVID? Are you afraid you'll die? Are you afraid that you'll have loved ones who die? Or are you more afraid of how long is this going to last? Because none of us knows the answer to that. And finally, how do you usually handle anxiety and worries? Because however you usually handle your anxiety or worry with any other situation will work in this situation as well. Each one of us handles worry in our own way. We have our own special techniques to use in order to help us with anxiety and worry. Remember, each one of you, you're very capable of helping yourself. You have the tools that you need to get through anxiety and worry. Some of those tools we've talked about in the last 2 videos. One of them is connecting with others, whether it's with physical and social distancing or by electronics, doing that type of thing. That's one way. Another way, of course, is doing mindful types of things like yoga, meditation, breathing exercises, other types of exercise. We've talked about those many times. Those are just a few of the things that we can think of that will help us with anxiety. Another thing I do want to mention, and I have it on my neck right here, is an aromatherapy necklace that someone gave me. And it has lavender essential oil in it. Even something like that throughout the day. I don't know how much I really believe in essential oils, but I like how it smells. And so what it does for me though, is I smell it and it makes me remember to consciously calm down and to try not to feel anxious. So aromatherapy is another thing that I'd like to mention. We use that a lot in healthcare, in our offices and in the activity room. I do want you to remember too that continuing to practice gratitude is another very, very helpful tool to help you get through the anxiety and the worry of this situation that we're in, whatever it is. And it also, if you practice daily gratitude, it really does put things into perspective as to what's important and really what's not. Things that seemed so important to me maybe 2-3 months ago probably are not that important right now. There are other things that are way important to me. I am especially grateful on this day to be working at West Hills Village. I will have to say I am consistently impressed with the strength and the expertise of the management team as they help us go through this really strange time that nobody knows what to expect. They do an amazing job. They keep us safe and they keep us informed. I'm also consistently impressed and in awe, actually, of all of our frontline staff. They're the ones who make the magic happen here. And they remain positive. They remain happy and loving and caring to our residents. We are so fortunate to have them all. We truly are a family here at West Hills Village, and we should all be grateful for the many blessings that we have here. The final message I want to leave with you today is to be kind and compassionate with others, which we've talked about before. It's so important at all times, but especially right now. But I also want you to think of being kind to yourselves. Now, I know I've said this before, but I actually had to practice this a little bit this week. I had to take more of my advice, which is hard. It can be hard for any of us, I think, to take our own advice. I needed to remind myself to ease up just a little bit with myself. I needed to remember that I'm not perfect. I will never be perfect. I never have been perfect. And actually, I would not want to be perfect because I'm human. That was a bitter pill to swallow. because I tend to be kind of hard on myself. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, especially here at work. At home, my husband would say something differently, but here at work, I am a perfectionist. So I beat myself up a little bit. I had to take that bitter pill and say, stop, that's enough. If I'm telling people to be kind to themselves, I need to do the same with myself. Please give yourselves a break. We all need a break. This is a hard time we're going through together. And if we're not always on our A game, you know what? That's okay. We can't always be expected to be on our A game because, again, we are human beings. So hang in there, take care of yourselves, and take care of others. It takes a village, such as West Hills, to come together and to navigate these murky waters of this invisible threat. We will get through this by being smart, kind, and understanding of each other's struggles. Until next time, I wish you peace and calm. Thank you. Bye-bye.